Speaking of storms, CBS ignited one last week when contestants on the popular game show The Amazing Race visited a B-52 memorial in Hanoi, Vietnam, a memorial glorifying the death of U.S. soldiers.
And it was a decision that infuriated veterans across the country and forced CBS to respond last night.
We want to apologize to veterans, particularly those who served in Vietnam, as well as to their families and any viewers who were offended by the broadcast. All of us here have the most profound respect for the men and women who fight for our country.
What kind of typewriter did they type that out on? So was that apology enough? Bob Beckel was one of the many, and probably the first, who demanded an apology from the network. And I saw that on the 5, Bob. You watched this story, heard this story. Gutfeld dug it up, and you commented. Why did you react the way you reacted?
Well, I think there's a lot of things. I mean, first of all, I was stunned. I just couldn't believe anybody could be that insensitive. Secondly, because I was against the war in Vietnam, I've always sort of carried around a little bit of, you know, that I didn't appreciate what these guys had done, and that added to it. But just the insensitivity of doing it on the 50th anniversary of the beginning of the war in Vietnam. So usually I swear. Fortunately, I didn't. But it just came out, and all week long it built. I mean, I just couldn't get off of it. It just bothered me. And I usually my own Twitter thing, which I don't know much about, it runs about 9 to 1 against whatever I say. It runs. This one ran about 99 to 1 favorable. So I thought we were onto something, and the numbers were phenomenal. I tell you, I appreciate the now, which I never did before, the power of social media.
Absolutely.
I mean, really,
What do you think of the apology? Is that enough for you? Because you said you were going to keep calling for it until it happened.
Yeah, I think it's belated, to say the least, but I think it's they did it at the right time. They did it, you know, in prime time, and I just think, certainly hope that they stop and ask themselves how something like this could happen. I mean, why somebody along the line didn't stop and say, wait. You know, you could understand maybe if it was young kids, producers and stuff who didn't have any relationship to Vietnam, probably didn't say much about their education. But somebody certainly who had been in my generation, the Boomer generation, which it ripped us apart. Sure. I mean, that defined my generation, and it was amazing to me that somebody at CBS didn't catch it. But
crazy. Now, you started banging the drum, and then eventually you reached out to John McCain.
Yeah.
And the leaders of the VFW and some other groups also said, hey, CBS, that's stupid. Let's see an apology.
Yeah, I spoke to the head of the American Veterans...
American Legion?
American Legion, yeah. And he and I had a long conversation. It was very moving at the end. He was a Vietnam veteran. And it was... He said something, and also I went down to the Vietnam Memorial for their celebration, for the recognition of the 50th anniversary, and they read the names of the fallen from New York, and it was very moving. I did a bunch of interviews for the 5 today, thinking that CBS would not apologize. And one guy particularly struck me, who had tears in his eyes. He apologized, and I said, there's no reason to apologize. And he said, you know, we spent all this time trying to put this behind us, and now something like this comes along and brings it back in our face again. And another guy said, can you imagine the families of the people who were on that B-52, what they must have thought about it?
Absolutely.
And that's so, you know, for me, it's been a kind of remarkable week. And I don't take any credit for it. I give credit to the millions, literally millions of people who responded to this.
But the people respect you, your opinion, and it was a gut reaction, and they reacted. So,
well, you know, I think it helped a little bit being a liberal, coming from Fox doing it. Frankly, I think that would matter. But also, when I called on my liberal side to get into this, it was amazing. The Daily Kos, which is the biggest liberal blog, came out and against the CBS, and
well, they did. Right.
So it was the one place where liberals and conservatives certainly could agree on something, and I think that was important.
That is important.
You brought us all together.
Well, thank you very much.
And you got results.
Thank you.
Watch him today on the 5 with those 4 other
Best
people.
dressed guy in the 5, just my opinion.
Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate that.
Thank you,
But I don't play soccer. So.
I know, more on that later.
Have a great day, Bob.